On DC Music Rocks, we're shining a spotlight on the great songs, artists, and incredible people behind the DC region's local music scene. Mark Reiter is a mixer, record producer, and audio engineer, along with an operations manager and a drummer. He works at Bias Studios just outside Washington, D.C., and is 1/3 of the Castathetic podcast team. He's also the drummer in the rock group Daycare Swindlers, and he enjoys recording analog and has worked with many local and national acts. So I first came across Mark's name when I was talking with not the Daycare Swindlers, the Dusk Whales when they were on the show, and they spoke so highly of you, man. And then I started looking into all the cool things you're doing and just was blown away. So thank you for now coming and being here with me. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Now, talk about, quickly go over the things that you said you're involved in, because I just brought up a few of them there. So list them out for us so that they know.
So the engineering and producing stuff that I'm doing out of Bias.
And where's Bias located?
Bias is in Springfield, Virginia.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm technically a freelancer, but they let me in the door, and they
Got it.
They give me some assignments from time to time. And,
yeah.
So that's the audio and production work. Then the operations management stuff at Furnace and helping. Basically what I do is I run the production side of it and oversee a bunch of really hardworking people who put records together and press records and get records out the door on time and learn the art and craft of record pressing. And then I also get to be in the Daycare Swindlers, which is we're in our 20th year.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, it's a lot of smokes. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, a lot of smokes. Oh man, there's a great Daycare Swindlers history if they want to look into that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Don't look too closely.
No, that's there. And then I brought up Castathetic podcast. What that is something you do, or
that is a thing that Ken Barnum, who also works at Bias, and a crazy guy named Keaton Buse, we do this together, and every few weeks we do something kind of similar to this. We have bands come to Bias, they play live. Keaton will interview them, then we do a mix and put it out, and it's a good way for bands to accomplish kind of the same thing that you're doing.
That's amazing.
Get the word out there.
And if they want to check out the Castathetic podcast, if they're listening, where would they go to find that?
The best way to get it is you can go to castathetic.com. It's there. I think we're in a bunch. I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't really handle any of the technical side of it. I just do the mixing and recording. Castathetic.com is the best way to do it. And you can also find it on my website. There's a link to, which is markreitermusic.com. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Mark Reiter Music, and that's Reiter is Reiter.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, what about, tell me the story behind the Daycare Swindlers name.
Oh, no one ever asked this question.
Well, I'm glad that I could be the first.
All right.
Tell us.
I try to do it really quickly. So we started in the late 90s, and there was another wave of the ska revolution going on. And,
sure.
And DC was a hotbed for that stuff, and we sort of did our own version of ska music, which is a poor version of it with electric guitars and no horns and sort of the Operation Ivy thing, right? And there was a band called the Dancehall Crashers, and we really liked the way that name sounded. Like, it's got a lot of syllables and it's kind of rhymey. Yeah. So we did that horrible thing that all bands do, which is to sit around in the basement and drink a lot of beer and come up with a name. And, I'm looking at the Dungeons and Dragons monster manual, we could be Gelatinous Cube, couldn't we? And no, we can't be Gelatinous Cube. And our guitar player, Mark O'Connor, came up with Daycare Swindlers, and it stuck. And we get asked about the name a lot, and I think it's a great name, but it does come. Yes. People sort of raise their eyebrows sometimes. We got asked in an interview once if we had named ourselves after the Ronald Reagan speech about the Daycare Swindlers from Chicago, who were hustling the government for funding to run daycare centers out of their homes.
Yeah, and that's not a good association.
That's where we got the name from.
There it is. And can you confirm that is in fact where that came from, or no?
It didn't come from the
dictionary and the monster manual and all of that stuff. Okay. Yeah. Other stuff. Wow. cool history. I love that. All right, now, and you've been in DC for, what's your connection to the DC region? For a while, immigrated here, moved here?
Yeah, so I was born in central New York and in Binghamton, and I lived in Buffalo for my childhood. And my dad is a government guy, was a government guy, and he got an opportunity and came down here. So I did high school down here, and
when you say down here, what part are you talking about?
The beautiful Dumfries Triangle Quantico area.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Home to your Potomac Mills.
Your Potomac Mill. Uh-huh.
So and it was in high school that I was always a sort of a music nerd. I apologize. I'm going to say a lot. It's a verbal crutch. I can't get rid of it today.
We're not listening. Just tell us. It's okay, man.
I sort of fell in love with the storied musical past of DC, especially the Discord, hardcore, punk rock thing. Even though that wasn't really my point of entry into music, and it's still not totally, even though the Daycare Swindlers were originally a punk band. Being part of that scene was super exciting to me.
Wow. Yeah. And now what about, so you on the personal side, now outside of all of this music stuff, and you told us all the jobs and the things you're involved in, so in your free time, what do you do, Mark?
So I got married last year.
Congratulations,
man. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I, we have no human children, but we have 2 furry children.
Oh, furry children.
2 Siberian Huskies.
Oh, wow.
We're both big Star Wars nerds. My wife is training to be an MMA fighter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is awesome, and also.
Are you training with her? Have you gone and tried?
I am a test dummy
for
jiu-jitsu moves. So every few days, I get to find out what she learned. Yeah, and I can't breathe, and the room goes gray, and she's proud, and I'm terrified.
Oh, that's fantastic. Your home life just sounds so fantastic, man. 2 fur babies and some MMA fights when you're home. I get.
Yeah, I'm a very grateful dude.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love it. And are you into, so she does that. What do you do with some of your free time, the little that you have?
So.
It's not just Star Wars.
Well, I don't know if I'm also an avid reader.
Got it.
Yeah, man, it's weird. The past couple of years have not had a lot of free time. So the time that we do get to spend not working and not doing music is kind of veg out time. And my wife and I are very protective of those handful of moments when, because I really am working 2 gigs and sometimes 3.
Yeah.
And again, I'm grateful for that work. I would rather be that busy than have none of these things coming across the plate.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
got it, man.
It seems mundane, but it's actually kind of magical to just be able to spend a night with my wife and like an acai bowl and 8 episodes of Stranger Things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So good. Absolutely. I totally get it, man. Now, one of my favorite questions to ask on the show is, now you on the, if you could offer one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think in this gig, in the music world, being aware of your motives and trying to figure out why you're doing something. Like, why is this important to you? Is it important to you because it's placating some kind of deep, need that your ego is presented to you? And I find in my own life that when I've operated that way, I've caused problems for myself and for other people. I think that there is a part of this, especially being in a band, and the Daycare Swindlers were fairly successful for a good number of years, and you can lose yourself a little bit in that, and the attention that comes along with it, and you can tend to feed that inner self in a kind of negative and dangerous way. And I've come to a place in my life where I realize that everything that I'm a part of that's cool is because I'm part of a bigger whole. Sort of the notion that together we are what we can't be alone. And when I find myself operating from that standpoint, whether it's at Furnace or at Bias in the band, then really cool things begin to happen, not to me, but to us. And that's the kind of energy that I want to be a part of. And it takes some discipline to keep the ego and the things that it wants at bay. And I find when that's happening, that's when the really cool stuff begins to flow.
That's amazing, man. And God, such good words. A part of something bigger. I love it. Now, and you brought up a lot of things. So if people want to find out more about what you brought up, so there's Furnace, and there's Daycare Swindlers, and there's Bias Studios. Where do they go to find those things?
Oh, the internet.
So they all have websites.
Yeah. So biasstudios.com.
Okay.
The S's are together.
So that's and BIAS Studios.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And you can find Furnace at Furnace MFG. That's Mary Frank George.
Okay.
.com.
Got it.
And then you can find me at markreitermusic.com, and the Daycare Swindlers are Daycares-Swindlers.
Daycare-Swindlers.com.
.com.
Got it.
And we're on Bandcamp and Facebook and Instagram and
all those
Twitter
places.
and